Another probably good question here. Every week that we go over the constraints, is that in addition to last week's constraints? Or if it's not mentioned this week, it's no longer a constraint?
Correct. So that is a week in, a week out. So when we go over the scheduling information for that week, it is for the orders that are being scheduled that Thursday. So it can, sometimes we see those every week. Sometimes we only see them certain weeks. Like this week, we see a lot of what we call constraints, but it's really because it's not necessarily a major constraint. It's really hard to explain, but yeah, evidently I don't explain it.
It has to do with the amount of parts that they get.
Right. So when their planned production on some of these, like we talked about that for the planned rate for a month on a certain vehicle. I had it here. Is the okay, like Maverick Hybrid, for instance, is this month for the whole month in general, they're going to build 51% are going to be hybrid, right? But let's say, you know, once that first week, they might schedule 45 of the 51% hybrids be scheduled out. So then the next week, their availability is 6% because they've already scheduled 45%. So they might say the hybrid is limited to exhaust availability. That's because they know that they can only take in so many more orders for that, if that makes sense. So that first week, it's usually pretty open. Whatever their capacity is on a monthly basis, then there's not going to be constraint on anything. But then once they schedule that, then they're going to be like, okay, now that we've scheduled 80% of the production, we have 20% to schedule. But here are, because of that, these things we've already pretty much scheduled completely out for the week. So that's why you'll see it like next week when we start doing scheduling, there probably won't be a lot of notes because unless there's an overabundance of orders for something, we won't see a constraint because they haven't even scheduled that week out yet.